Handling distributed computing and parallel processing. How do you handle distributed computing and parallel processing? So, handling distributed computing and parallel processing is essential for efficiently processing and analyzing large-scale data sets. Now, when you talk about distributed computing, you are talking about a type of computing capability that cut across many geographical zones. Parallel processing is now the way that you communicate in real time with those distributed systems. Here are some key concepts and tools used in distributed computing and parallel processing. You need what you call distributed file system. So now, if you are very familiar with an organization called MTN, MTN practice distributed file system. They are in different geographical zones. They have data sets, they have databases in different countries. So this is a very, very large database driven organization. So distributed file systems such as Hadoop, we handle that. Also, Google File System is also a distributed file system. Another form of file distributed system is MapReduce. So MapReduce is a programming model for distributed processing of large data sets. So what I'm saying in essence is that, for you to handle distributed and parallel system, you need to understand file distributed system, and you need to understand what we call MapReduce. And I say that the MapReduce is a programming model for distributed processing of large data sets across a cluster of computers. So your MapReduce will divide the input data into smaller chunks and perform parallel map and reduce operations on the data. Another task is parallel processing framework. Parallel processing framework that we are going to talk about are the Apache Spark. So we have been able to explain all those tasks. Now, it is time for us to understand parallel processing framework. We will talk about distributed computing and parallel processing. So, what are the framework of parallel processing? Distributed system and parallel processing. So, if we want to handle processing of our large data sets parallelly, we need parallel processing framework. So, we have Apache Spark, Apache Flink, and Hadoop Yarn. They are the examples of parallel processing framework that enable distributed data processing. So this framework provides high-level APIs and abstractions for writing parallel computations, handling fault tolerance, and managing resource allocation across a cluster. Message queuing system. Message queuing system like Apache Kafka and RabbitMQ facilitate distributed communication or parallel data processing. Remember, they allow for reliable and asynchronous messaging. The essence of this asynchronous messaging is to ensure data is efficiently exchanged between different stages of data processing.